Hey, it's Chase. I am coming to you all to talk to you about retraining your brain. And I have been doing a lot of research because I am writing a chapter in my book where I needed to learn more. Everyone knows about the law of attraction, of course. And what I found wrong with the law of attraction, not that I don't think that it works, because it does, but the thing that they didn't really touch on was how. And I don't mean how like how you're gonna get the things that you want. I don't mean it in that way. I'm just meaning when it says that you attract things to you and people and money and whatever you want, you can have it. That's good. But if you're doing a lot of negative self-talk, which it does talk about in the law of attraction, but how do you retrain your brain to think that you can have all that you want in life? That's where I needed that answer, because I felt like I was getting only one part of the equation. So I started to research how do I change my self-talk within negative, you know, mainly negative self-talk, because you don't want to get away, retrain your brain or reprogram yourself to get away from your positive stuff. So it would be to how do I retrain or reprogram my negative self-talk. And I came across a lot of different information, and a lot of it was very, very helpful. I want to share it with you. I'm not going to try to make this video too long, but I will, I might come back and do a different video about it to go in depth. But basically, there's a few things. I got my notes here. There's a few things that you can do to promote positive self-talk, and how do you reprogram your brain or retrain your brain. It can be done. A lot of people think, oh, this is just how I am, this is me, this is how I'm always going to be. And when you have that attitude, then you're training yourself to think that that's all there ever will be. So remember, anything that you say or anything that you think about really does become your reality. A lot of people don't like to really think about that, but it's true. So if you're constantly down on yourself, if you're constantly thinking the worst of every situation, that is what you're going to get. You might have some glimmers of a little light, but for the most part, you're programming your reality to be negative if you're constantly speaking negative things into existence. It really is true. So one of the things that I had learned, and I can't remember his name, but I will, when I do an in-depth video, I will put his name in here, because it's not my work. This is what I have learned. It's not my own thing, so I don't want you all to think that. But I did, however, I was fascinated by this information. So basically, when you have a negative self-talk, and that's the talk within your mind, it's what you're telling yourself daily, repeated, repetitive conversations that you have inside of your head, that tell you that you can, that you can't, that you will, that you won't, that you, anything that you're thinking about, which we have about 50 to 60,000 thoughts that run through our mind every day. And the sad part about that is a lot of that, about 77% of that, is negative, repetitive self-talk that we have programmed in our minds, which is very sad. So, but let's get to the point. This is going to be really quick. The first thing is triggers. We all have triggers in life, because that's what life is all about. It could be external or internal. External meaning something out there in the world that will affect you and how you think about something. or it's an inside thing, something that you have been playing in your mind constantly, whether it's good or bad, it's a trigger. It can create um, um, emotions, which that will be the next, that's not the next one, but it will be a part of this. The next one would be thoughts, what we think about the trigger. Typically, we don't give a lot of thought, only that it's there, and it's the hardest part of the trigger is when we give it the thought behind it. The next one is very easy because we automatically do this, and I just mentioned it. It's called emotions, feelings, mood. When you're happy, you're sad, and when the trigger comes, do we automatically associate it with a emotion, which we typically do because that's human. I mean, that's what we all kind of do. If you're going to a wedding and you're happy, you're going to associate that particular trigger, it could be a trigger, with a lot of different things. What if you've never been married and you want to be married and you're at a wedding? It could trigger some sad feelings of, will I ever be married? I mean, it's everything around us could be a trigger for us. So then the next one is your actions and your behavior. Now, what do you do with this trigger? Do you behave a certain way, or do you do a certain action? I just used the wedding as a trigger. So when you leave the wedding and you are thinking your thoughts, are you sad, and what is your behavior? Do you drink because you're sad about it? Are you angry? Are you keep promoting the same negative self-talk within yourself? I mean, we all do something. Now those are the things that happens in this process, and you can agree with them or not, but just think about when something has happened to you in your life and you have the trigger, and typically we go straight to the emotion, and then we probably go to the action or the behavior, and then we go back up to think about it. So that's pretty much how we are. You can't change triggers. Those are things in life that just happen because this is life and things tend to happen to us. But we can change our thought about the trigger. We don't have to associate this wedding that we went to for as a sad occasion in our own lives. We can be very happy and grateful for the people that have took these vows and are under God. And you can think a lot of different things. You don't have to automatically go to, I want to be married, or I want a relationship, or I'll never have what they have, or you don't have to think that way. One of the things that the guy said, and I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, guys. I apologize. I will look it up though, because it's another part to this. But this is just a quick part. Now, one thing that you can do to try to maintain that the triggers and try to figure out where your emotions are and your actions. You can write down all of the triggers and the emotion with it. Why did I feel this way? I mean, not why, but what did I feel when these people got married? Why did it, trigger something in me? But the why would come later. You would just keep track of all your triggers all day long, and hopefully you don't have a whole lot of triggers, but some people do, and that's okay if you do. But you would do this for about 2 weeks, but you would go home at night, keep a notepad with you, write down all your triggers and the emotion that you had right at that moment. Don't wait. And write down at night the thought. Why did you think that thought for that trigger? They say do this about every 2 weeks, and start to change those negative thoughts that you have, or why you're thinking negatively about that particular trigger, and change it into a positive. So if I'm very sad about this wedding that I am at, and I'm thinking I will never be married, I will never have this is what I really want, or whatever your thoughts are about, I'm just saying a wedding just as an example. But then when you get home, if you have written down the wedding and I'm sad, and then when you get home, you can evaluate that and really look into why are you sad about at, about the wedding, if that's what it is. One of the things you could change that into is start saying that you will be married. Oh, well, don't say will, say I am married. Because it starts here, and you have to start saying things in the present tense in order for them to become a reality. So yeah, you can change your thoughts. And I was very interested in knowing this, and this made a lot of sense to me. And there is a second part to this, and I will come back and talk about it a little bit later. I just didn't really want this video to be too long, but yeah. So I would say that could be a challenge. You could, take the next 2 weeks and write down all your triggers and all your emotions. And you can put down your behaviors if you had one right at that moment. Was it crying? Was it kicking something? I mean, we all do different things when triggers happen in our lives. So I will come back and talk to you about the rest of it. Thank you so much for watching. This is Chase, and I just want to get you to start thinking differently about life and how you can take control of your reality. And ultimately, what I'm very big on is following your destiny and your purpose, and living out your dreams. But it all starts with your mind, and sometimes we have to reprogram, recondition our minds to think differently. We can't just rely on the fact that we were raised this way and this is what has always been told to us, because it doesn't necessarily make it true. Another thing that I kind of like when I was doing this research is the fact that they said that there are very little universal truths, as in that everyone across the board thinks that it's true. We all have our own beliefs, our own truths, so therefore you can change those, okay? So I will talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.